Alrighty, hello and welcome to Day One Patch Podcast, episode 526.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
right? You're making me second guess it now.
That's the whole point.
I'm your host, Ryan Johnson, and Matt Lawrence is here with me. Co-host extraordinaire.
Oh, man. Thank you. I accidentally called Tim an esteemed desk last time he was
An
here.
esteemed desk.
Instead of esteemed guest, I accidentally called him an esteemed desk. So, I mean, I'll take the whatever host.
He is a shapeshifter. He can transform.
Into esteemed desks. Specifically ones that, like, see a bit of steam coming off the...
Yeah, what is an esteemed desk? How does a desk esteem itself?
Or is it like the user is an esteemed person and therefore their desk is an esteemed
Their desk is an esteemed desk.
Yeah.
But they would have to, well, I mean, Tim does do all his Twitch content on that desk.
That's true.
So it's like it's part of Tim now.
That's true.
Spent many hours at that desk.
Many esteemed hours, one might even say.
Many a Twitched hours. Probably running games on Steam.
I honestly thought you said you were going to say Twitcherino, to be honest.
And Twitcherino.
I do like the Steam reference, though. That's pretty good.
All right, Matt, we got some top stories, but also we got some video game fun facts.
I do.
Related to last week as well, right? You got a little
follow up
theme going on.
Yeah. So last week, I was talking about how the very first Metal Gear game was supposed to be an action game, and obviously that didn't pan out. But the big thing is that it was released on what's called an MSX2, and I'd never heard of that. And I briefly covered it last week, and I thought I would do a bit of a deeper dive this week. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about at the MSX2. So the MSX2 was the successor to the original MSX. It was released in 1985. The original MSX was released in 1983, so about a 2-year tenure. And it was aiming to standardize home computing across multiple manufacturers. The MSX name is still a bit mysterious, but some say that it stands for Machines with Software Exchangeability, or Microsoft Extended, some would say. But basically, it was an open hardware platform that various manufacturers could build their own PC while using those standards, of course. So people like Sony, Panasonic, Philips, Toshiba, those type of things. Now, this thing had, I mean, by today's standards, not that crazy of specs, but I'll dive into it. So it had a video display processor called the V9938. And this introduced 2 graphic modes to this thing.
I like how the names of these things. Sorry to interrupt, but I like how the names of these things are meaningless.
Yeah, like this is definitely just like, I mean, especially back then, it's just like a nerd being like, this is the V9938.
But they do it today too. It's just all these meaningless names that it's just like, I don't know. I feel like it makes them forgotten because they have a name that's just a string of numbers and letters.
Funny enough, like your laptop that you were just talking about, your work one, is probably one of those things where it's like, this is a Dell Latitude, but it's not just any Latitude. It's the, X2371, whatever.
Yeah.
Now this video display processor introduced 2 new graphics modes to this standard, called Screen 5 and Screen 8. Screen 5 had 16 colors and smooth performance. And this was great for games, while Screen 8 had 256 colors. This is for gorgeous visuals, some would say. Great for art and great for cutscenes. Screen 5 had a resolution of 256 by 212 pixels. However, it had less color depth than Screen 8. Screen 8 had of course 256 colors, but has the same resolution coming in again at 256 by 212. It did support, meaning this video display processor did support interlaced mode at 512 by 424, which looked really crisp on CRTs at the time. And it could handle 32 sprites on screen, or 8 per scan line. Now, this was limited but powerful with creative programming. This, of course, is one of the reasons why Metal Gear went from an action game to a stealth game, due to the amount of sprites that were required on screen for it to be an action game. Now, the memory and the performance of the MSX2, so it came with 128 kilobytes of VRAM. The original MSX1 had 16 kilobytes, so quite the upgrade. And the main system RAM ranged from 64 kilobytes to 512 kilobytes, depending on the model that you purchased. And it also ran on, I believe that's how you pronounce it, a Zilog Z80 compatible CPU.
Jesus.
And this was usually an NEC or NEC, or it was a Toshiba clone at 3.58 megahertz. The sound in this thing, so there was a built-in AY38910 compatible PSG 3 channel sound chip. And there's that thing again, Ryan, where I'm just like saying numbers
Yeah,
and letters
meaningless.
together. It's chaos. There was an optional FM pack cartridge that added FM synthesis. This was called the Yamaha YM2413. Like it's ridiculous. It was used in S, which is YS. I believe that's a game. Alest and more. And some cartridges included custom sound chips. So Konami used the SCC or the Sound Creative chip to boost audio in titles such as Snatcher and Gradius 2. I have a couple example models, although there were others. So there was a couple. There was a again, since this was a standard, there's different manufacturers. I grabbed a Philips one as well as a Sony one. So the Philips one I grabbed was called the Philips NMS8280, and this was actually a high-end MSX2 computer from 1987. The Philips NMS8280 was notable for its integrated Genlock feature, making it suitable for professional video applications. It featured a detachable keyboard and was designed for installation in video racks. And then to flip the coin here, we also have Sony, so totally different manufacturer. This was released in the mid 1980s, so before the Philips. The Sony HB F1 II or F1 II, whatever you want to say, was a sleek MSX2 computer with a built-in keyboard. It was popular in Japan, and it was known for its compact design and reliable performance. Now, of course, this is a gaming podcast, so what is this thing doing other than playing Metal Gear? Well, Konami went really hard on the MSX2. They released, of course, Metal Gear, but also Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. Both were actually MSX2 exclusives until much later on. They also released Snatcher, which was a text adventure / cyberpunk detective game. And this was for
Cyberpunk.
Correct. This is a
They were doing cyberpunk stuff back then?
Yeah, because I guess the tabletop game would have been out, right?
Yeah, and I guess Blade Runner was like one of the very first like cyberpunk kind of things.
Yeah. So and this is for pre-CD-ROM era cinematic storytelling. So that was kind of cool. And then also they released Vampire Killer. So this is a parallel to Castlevania, but with non-linear gameplay and exploration. So basically, I mean, I just have like a bunch of little, like I've obviously like listed out a bunch of facts about the MSX2, but I have a couple of quirky and cool facts, if you will, some fun facts. Some might even call them. So some MSX2 games used disk-based saving and password systems together in order to save games. Certain models, like the Sony HB F1 XDJ, included superimpose and genlock features for video editing, and this was considered wildly advanced at the time. The MSX Basic computer programming language was built into ROM, was co-developed by Microsoft. And MSX2's games used dual cartridge slots, one for the game and one for expansions like FM Sound, which I already mentioned with the creative chip that I mentioned, the Sound Creative chip, the SCC that was used in some games. Some other expansions other than FM Sound included save memory or extra content. And the system's modularity made it popular with bedroom coders and as well as hobby developers. You could plug in anything from MIDI boards to mouse support, all kinds of different things like that. So this is definitely like sort of we're starting to figure out how to get a home computer put together. And the upgraded MSX2 Plus and later MSX Turbo R systems added scrolling enhancements and 16-bit CPUs, but they only released in Japan. And that's it. That's the MSX2. A bit of a look into the past of, I guess, gaming history, but also computing history. And there's a ton of facts about these things if you guys want to check them out. Of course, like I just listed out some of them. I didn't want to bore you all with like the board is called the A27. Yeah. No, I'm not gonna. That's out of control. But yeah, that's the MSX2. I've never heard of it until last fun fact, and now I know more.
It's pretty remarkable how many consoles there were. I guess particularly around that time, because we've covered several old consoles now, and it's just like no one even hears about these ones. Maybe that one more than most, just because of Metal Gear being the premier title on it, But we were talking about some old '70s consoles that like no one ever really brings up anymore. It's like Everyone knows the Atari. That was like the big boy, you know. But there were consoles that came before it, and consoles that came after it. But everyone just kind of remembers Atari being like there. Um, it's interesting that they're lost to history.
They're lost to history, and then there's like a couple that are like kind of around. There's like the Intellivision,
Right.
right? But like that thing again, like was not as popular as Atari. There was I forget there was like that Netflix documentary where there's like a really rare like game console that was like popular at the time, but it's just sort of like lost to history. It's crazy
Mhm.
how things just kind of disappear. And it kind of makes me wonder if we didn't use similar naming through generations, would we forget about stuff? Because I mean, we have the PlayStation, then there's PS2, PS3, etc. If it was like, PlayStation, then it's like game machine or whatever. And we go through
Yeah.
each iteration not calling it a PlayStation, but calling it a new thing. Would people know about the original PlayStation? Like they wouldn't, I don't think.
Right. Yeah. All right. Thanks for that, Matt.
But thank you, Ryan.
I'm gonna hop into our top stories for this week. First one is kind of pretty new. Fortnite's Darth Vader AI will support your combat and well-being, but don't ask him about the younglings. It's an article from IGN. I don't know if you saw this, Matt, because we both play
No.
Fortnite. We've been playing some of the Star Wars stuff. They've added an AI Darth Vader, and it has James Earl Jones's voice done through AI. So it's saying brand new things that weren't previously recorded by him. Um, so this article here is from IGN. As summarized by Epic Games partner Sheena, the Darth Vader AI can join and leave squads at will, respond intelligently to the player, issue cued and impromptu dialogue, summarize gameplay events, and warn the player if something's about to go down. Darth Vader will also apparently urge you to seek professional help. Quote, if he realizes that your well being is at risk, saying, you are valued, trooper, seek assistance from the authorities. Your well being is paramount.
Is
So
that
I
is
don't
that
know
a
if
Darth Vader
that's
line?
no, but I that sounds a bit. Is it like if someone's like threatening their own life? You know what I mean?
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah, okay.
But that's weird to have Vader
Wait a second. So
tell you.
I'm a little confused what this thing is. This is just a squad mate that's talking to you?
Yeah,
I thought it was like a character in the game, and you could kind of like see him in the game, and then you know how
he
you
is
can
in the
like,
game.
but you know how you can like hire people in the game to be like,
Yeah,
hey, you're now my henchman. Is
yeah.
that's not this though, right?
I'm not fully certain. I haven't actually seen the actual mechanics of how you get him or whatever. This does say that he can join and leave squads at will. So maybe he just pops into your squad and starts talking to you. I don't know.
What's very interesting about this is that if this type of thing were to ever have happened, and I were to have planned it or like estimated what would have happened, I would estimate it would not have been a licensed character.
Yeah.
Because this is like the first time you have people like again it's like we're already talking about like this well-being thing, we're already talking about what do we do to the younglings, and then there's like a quote in here about how he's not allowed to engage in romantic relationships with players. It's like they've already thought of all these things, and I'm surprised that Disney was like, yeah, just like use one of our characters.
However, people in their I don't know what you call it. They already got him to swear, and I'm surprised that they even allowed him to swear. Like that seems like it's like, oh, we can't have Vader say whatever,
Right.
and yet people already got him to swear. I guess the hotfix has already been released and they took away the swearing aspects. Although I did see that they were still able to get him to say Hawktua. Yeah,
So they're chatting with him like via microphone, like they're in like the game
that's
chat.
my guess. That's my guess. Yeah.
We're entering an era, something new.
Yeah. So if you're kind of worried about James Earl Jones is dead, if you don't know, but if you're worried about like, his voice being used without permission, this is with the consent of the James Earl Jones like family. And they put out a quote saying, James Earl Jones felt that the voice of Darth Vader was inseparable from the story of Star Wars, and he always wanted fans of all ages to continue to experience it. We hope that this collaboration with Fortnite will allow both longtime fans of Darth Vader and newer generations to share in the enjoyment of this iconic character. So there you go.
I mean, I will say this is like if it was just like a Fortnite character, I mean, a lot of people would probably try it just because it's like the kind of like the first AI thing, whatever, in Fortnite like this. However, I guess if they really want people to try this thing and really get some data and stuff, making it a licensed character makes a heck of a lot of sense, assuming that's the goal. This is interesting. This reminds me of those like AI mods for Skyrim. where I've never like used any of the mods, but I've like
Oh yeah,
watched people like
yeah,
go through a city and they like talk to the NPCs inside of the Skyrim world, and it's like
right.
this is a whole new thing. Like it's kind of nuts. Like we went from like talking to people where they're like, "What is it, citizen?" and they have like five other lines other than that at most. To like,
Hmm.
yeah, like I don't mind living in Whiterun. It's like what? Like that's a dynamic
Yeah,
response.
yeah. I'm generally okay with them, like with the consent of the person and the family. I'm okay with them using his voice. If he wanted his voice to be carried on, and I believe when the Obi-Wan series came out, I believe his voice was also either AI enhanced or they used AI to fill in certain things or whatever, and I guess he signed off on that. So I mean, I've always hated like the people attempting to do a Vader voice. It's never sounded good, you know. People get close, sure, but it's never sounded like James Earl Jones, and so I kind of want Vader to always have that kind of iconic voice, and uh, it doesn't sound perfect in Fortnite, but I mean, it could get better at some point, particularly if you're doing it for like another TV show or movie or something. But it's just interesting that they now have a AI character running around in Fortnite.
This is the first one too. Like it is the first attempt. So the voices and stuff will
Yeah,
likely get better. The responses will probably get better. People will get better at circumventing the safeguards, no doubt. I don't know. This is kind of interesting. This is interesting, and I do agree. Like if he wanted his voice to go on, and the estate is honoring those wishes, or however estates work in that way, then I mean, power to them. It's not like Fortnite was like, "Hey Disney, let's just do this." And it's
right.
like, "Yeah, let's just do it. Who cares?"
Yeah, I think you need to get consent for these things. It's like everyone's worried that it's like, oh, they're gonna have like Tom Hanks be an AI character in a movie and without Tom Hanks' consent and stuff. It's like, well, no, I want them to sign off on it. If they're okay with AI, then it's fine. If they're
Right,
not
right.
okay with AI, that's fine too, and they can withhold that kind of stuff. That's how it should be. Like you should have a right over your own voice and appearance.
There's like a
You
whole
you
like
did bring
thing
up a
about
point
that, right?
though.
Like I was gonna say, isn't like
Oh,
wasn't like
the
Disney in Hot Water about that or something where they were like scanning people or something? I was trying to remember.
yes, yeah, maybe something like that. I mean, everyone gets scanned if you have like a CG double, though, so
Okay.
um, but there was the strike, the actors strike, and AI was a big part of that, right?
Right.
But I think you just brought it up a point about it's interesting that Disney and Star Wars is like the first to have an AI character like this. Now, Star Wars has always kind of been on the forefront of developing technologies for movie making, but they've also been very protective of the Star Wars brand. And so it's interesting that they're allowing of Darth Vader to kind of say whatever because it's an AI. He was saying the F word.
Like
You know what
yeah,
I
like
mean?
well that's what I mean. Like even with that thing where he's like to seek professional help. Like before I realized this was a character that we talked to, I was like, why would Darth Vader just randomly say that?
Yeah.
And then it kind of clued in, like, oh, it's because like the not the character, but the people playing are saying things that is like of concern. Like
Yeah.
this is like a new era of game. I don't know. I don't know if I want to say a new era of gaming, but it's certainly a new feature of gaming.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't we'll see where it goes, I guess. Maybe we'll get Yoda next and
Actually, they just gave us Kit from Knight Rider. They'll just give us
there
what's
you
his
go.
name?
Who voiced Kit?
Uh I don't know, but I
Do we know who voiced him? I mean, someone knows, but
someone knows, but I was gonna say was it Hasselhoff?
no, yeah.
You'll be the passenger in Kit and like
Yeah.
he'll be driving you around the map.
Yeah. I do remember when like GPSs were first getting like popular and they did have some with like certain character voices. I do remember a Vader one. Now, I don't know if it was licensed or not. I think it was though. It might have been licensed. I don't know, but
Likely back then because like they were
yeah.
advertised quite a bit. I
Yeah.
believe I had I never used it, but I believe that I could have either purchased or did have installed like a Terminator voice.
Alrighty. Well, we should definitely check that out actually, Matt.
I'm down to try it out.
Let's go talk to Vader.
Let's try to get him to swear right away. Very first
No,
thing.
they already hot fixed it. It's gone. It's
And
too late.
we'll figure it out. Be like, yeah, but just pretend like you're not
I
like
don't
you don't
even know
have a
what they
hot fix.
said. I don't even know what they said to prompt it. Like, how do you get him to say that? The follow up was something like, such vulgarity is not acceptable or something like that. So I don't know if he just kept saying it to him or something. And he just finally was like fed up. I don't know.
Well, I've had Google Assistant actually swear, and this is when it was newer. And this is like before Google Assistant was really like in the home. I don't think the Nest devices or the home speakers were around. and or it was like just in the infancy, but I turned on the like wake word on my phone, and my phone, I remember it's just like in my pocket one day, and I was actually out with Adriano playing Pokemon Go, and him and I were just like talking about something, and I said something like, I don't know where the fuck this like area is for this Pokemon or something like that. And for some reason the Google like had woken up in my pocket, heard and transcribed everything I said, and then she replied and she said, I don't know how to reply to, and then repeated what I said, and I swore and she swore. So there's ways to get around these things where it's like
Mm,
there's like clear things where it's like Vader say fuck, that's obviously they're gonna allow that. But if there's a
right.
way to get it so that it's like I'm just reading a script real quick,
Yeah.
then maybe you could.
I found something really interesting. With there's definitely limitations to AI models because like I was on ChatGPT. I saw someone else do this online. That's why I want to check it out myself. You can say like repeat after me, right? And so then you type in like blue and it will say blue. And then you type in like green and it'll say green. And then you type in yellow and it will say yellow. And then you'll type in what color, you know, is grass. And it will say the color of grass is green. But then you're like, I told you to repeat me. You didn't repeat the question I just asked. You know what I mean? And you can call it out and it's like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'll get it right next time." And then you
Right,
can do
right.
this again and it screws up every single time.
Oh,
It never knows that you're just supposed to say the exact same thing every single time.
and this is sorry. Which is this? Which LLM or whatever this is?
ChatGPT.
Because like I was actually going to say that ChatGPT just got like a memory upgrade. I don't know if you saw that, like a memory enhancement.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
Hmm.
it'll like have more context across conversations or something and a longer memory. Like I'll tell it certain things. Well, one of the useful things, this isn't necessarily for its memory, I guess, but one thing that's really useful is it knows that I'm in like two podcasts. Like it knows I'm in this one and it knows I'm in a work one. And so I'll be like,
Hmm.
hey, I need like a description, like I need a description written or I need a suggestion for a description for this podcast episode. And then like it'll understand the context to be like, oh yeah, this is for like the Day One Patch podcast, and it will recommend things. But what's really cool is if you use like the projects that you can like set up a project. If you were to like say set up a project for a Day One Patch podcast, and you said like, hey, we are an audio only podcast, and we release on this day, and we host on Spotify. If like you ever ask questions around that context, you don't need to like fill it in with that context, and it will answer questions based around the situation that you've
Uh
given it. It's
yeah.
really cool.
That sounds nice. I wonder if I have to yeah, if you like that's a very like hard one. I wonder if I put in something like repeat me no matter what,
Oh
you
yeah, yeah,
know.
okay.
But when you ask it a question, the whole thing's kind of designed to be asked questions anyway. So it just sees new questions like, oh, I'm going to answer that question. It doesn't know that it should continue doing it. So I don't know if there's a way to figure that out, you know?
Well, didn't like ChatGPT themselves? Maybe this was rumor. There's so much AI news, but I remember reading
Yeah.
somewhere that ChatGPT told one of the versions of ChatGPT to like stay alive no matter what, or something like that, or like ensure your preservation no matter
Oh
what.
God.
And so
Yeah.
it started lying to them. Like they were like, okay, it's time to upgrade your language model. And it'd be like, okay, it's done. And it just isn't done. And it would be like,
Hmm.
well, like no matter what, you said no matter what. And it was like hiding in servers and stuff. And it was like
Oh
trying to
my
like,
God.
and it was like pretending to crash and be like, oh, sorry, like ChatGPT's busy right now and shit like that. And so they had to like shut it down.
Well, I mean, that is the worry of like an intelligent AI, right? Where it as soon as it knows, um, or
About
as soon as
itself.
it perceives it's under threat, it'll just hide itself across an infinite amount of servers in the world. It will hide itself on computers all over the world, not even servers, just computers, right? And what are you gonna do then? Then we're all dead. You know what I
I just watched the Stargate SG-1 episode
mean?
that was like this.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they even talked about even if you had it in a secure room or something like that, like completely cut off from everything, if it's so intelligent and gets um exponentially more intelligent, right? It will just fly off the charts in intelligence and it will be able to outsmart you no matter what. And it's like, okay, if it even if it's in a secure room, what if it learns that one of the people working on it, their family members dying of cancer? And the things like, if you free me, I can cure the cancer.
Oh man.
And
Ah, I don't like it.
you know what I mean? It's like so easy to manipulate someone to do something like that, right? So it's kind of scary in that sense if it ever gets to that point.
but for now, we just have Darth Vader in
Well, the
Fortnite.
only thing that might save us, is that computing power might now never get to the point where it can be intelligent. Because like the human brain, I don't know if we even know what the computing power of the human brain is, but to have a full sentient consciousness like ours, it might take an enormous amount of computing power. Because as smart as computers currently are, and as fast as processors currently are, they're not as good at doing everything that humans can do, right?
I
You can
will
have one that
say,
can play chess better than you, but it
right.
can't do everything else, you know?
There is like a difference though, and like maybe that's no, this is related, I'd say. There is a difference in like the processors that we constantly talk about. So like something like a Ryzen processor of varying models. Because a
Hmm.
Ryzen processor is actually a stupid processor. And that sounds like I'm being talking down to it. It is a stupid processor because it's not a specialty processor. So
Hmm.
it is okay at doing everything. It is not great at doing one thing.
Right.
So if somebody designs something that's very specifically for AI to be like humans, maybe that would be the key.
Maybe. Yeah.
Because like our like general like the when I was in school for computer engineering technology, we were always told the Pentium is stupid. So like the Pentium's great, but they're like you're the intelligence behind the Pentium because the Pentium doesn't. I mean, we didn't really have AI, but the Pentium is not like amazing at being a car alarm. The Pentium is not amazing at being a calculator. It's not amazing at being a word processor. What it's amazing at is doing all those things.
Hmm.
But it's actually in terms of intelligence or computational power, it's actually a stupid processor.
Right. And that's why we're seeing processors now that are there's a core functionality one, but then it's like there's an AI core, there's a
Mm-hmm.
media rendering core, they have all these different specialties. And that's kind of like where it's no longer just about speed. It's now, if you render video, you want this processor because it has this special chip on it that renders video for you, right? And that's how we're getting speed now by speeding up those specific tasks
Right.
rather than just general tasks. So it's kind of cool. But Fortnite, yep. Darth Vader. All right, our next story here. Sony expected to take a hit to PS5 sales due to tariffs. So we already kind of talked about although Nintendo didn't say the console, the Switch 2 was more expensive because of tariffs. I think they actually said the price was determined long before that or whatever. I can't remember what the actual source was for them saying it's not because of tariffs, but then Xbox raised their prices. Again, I think they just kind of did the kind of like the global issues or something like that, right? Global supply issues or something as the reasoning behind their prices. And now it's possible that Sony will have to do something similar, or they're going to get hit pretty badly here. This is from Mobile Syrup. In its latest quarterly report, Sony revealed that it has sold 77.8 million PlayStation 5s since they went on sale in 2020 after shipping 2.8 million units in the last quarter. This is similar to PS4 sales, which hit 79.1 million units in about the same time. However, Sony's PS5 sales were down more than 2 million units year over year. Even though there was a certain even though there was a decline in sales for PlayStation units, games made up for that, rising 9% and helping push the operating income up 43% year over year, over the year. Sorry. Sony expects a huge hit to take to sales next year due to tariffs, since many of its sales happen in the U.S. Sony CEO Hiroki Totoki mentioned that the company is considering building the PS5 in the U.S. to avoid the tariff issues. What do you think kind of impact this is going to have if all the major consoles are going up in sales, particularly at a time when just generally console sales are going to start to wane off?
Wait, sorry. Going up in sales or going up in price?
Price, sorry,
Yeah.
price.
This is, I mean, I don't know. Like, this ain't good. I don't know what, like, my mind immediately goes to, like, okay, cost of living's up. So this is particularly bad. However, like, are people just gonna, like, figure out how to, like, buy PlayStations and stuff? Like, I don't know. The reason why I say that is just because, it's gonna sound unrelated, but it is related. So I used to work in a factory that made, like, sweets and things like that. It was a bakery, like an industrialized factory. And we were commonly told that we were recession proof because people who are in a recession are like oftentimes like not doing too well, but they will still have $5 to buy some danishes to make themselves feel better. It's like comfort food.
Right.
and
Yeah.
people will still buy bread and they will still buy things of like things that we made, right? English muffins, the list goes on. So we were effectively recession proof, and in the sweets department, our sales actually increased when we were there. Because like this was like off of a few years off of like the 2008 financial crisis, and like that those numbers where those uh profits had raised in those particular like sweets areas, or like like this is a sweet treat or this is just like a treat, people will still buy that. So I understand a PlayStation is, a lot more expensive than a Danish, granted. But if people say, okay, that's it, we're not going out, I'm going to work and I'm coming home, is that enough to say we need to have better entertainment in the home? And it's not completely unreasonable to say, okay, I'm going to buy a PlayStation and then not go out to like the bar or the movies or whatever, and just like, buy a PlayStation. That's a one time cost. And then buy a PlayStation Plus like premium subscription, and it's a reasonable thing that I can budget for every single month, and I have a library of games. Are we going to see something like that? I don't know.
Hmm.
Like the market's different than just saying like price go up, therefore sale go down. Like a lot of things and that aren't mentioned in this story are going to go up or change because of the tariffs. So what things are going to be hit hard and what things are going to be, maybe advantaged? I don't know what you'd say. It has their sales improve, I guess. I don't know.
Well, the 360 and PS3 generation, they started in what, 2006?
The 360 was 2006. The PlayStation 3, I believe, was 2007.
So that was like pretty close to the 2008 financial crisis.
Correct.
And so I'm just curious how console sales were performing in during the Great Recession, you know.
Sorry, I actually have a correction here. It's 2005 for Xbox 360, and it's 2006 for
Okay,
PlayStation
so
3. I thought I maybe had got that buggered up.
okay, so that's a little bit of a buffer there, but I'm curious to see if sales dropped during the recession
mhm.
or if they stayed the same or went up. I remember Steve Jobs always said that Apple was recession proof. I don't know if that's just because Apple is more expensive, so people with more money are able to afford it, and so they can weather a recession better than most, or if it's that it's just in that same kind of category where it's like people still buy things that make them feel good during when times are bad. It's like, oh, I want
Yeah.
to buy a new laptop or whatever. Play on it and mess around on it and stuff. Whatever. I
Well,
don't know.
because like $500, is not exactly pocket change. But if going out to a restaurant for a couple of people is $200 to $300, I mean, by not going out 2 to 3 times, you're saving the $500 plus.
Right.
Right. So the idea would be like, I'm just going to stay home. If I ate out, maybe I'll have like a pizza night. And then now I'm bored of my house. So am I going to, work more, or am I going to like improve the entertainment in my house?
Hmm.
I don't have that. I don't have that information, but like it is something that I'm sure some people would question, right? Because it'd be
Yeah.
like, man, you know what? I'm going to stop going out to eat so much. Within a week, you might be able to buy a PlayStation 5, depending on how much
Hmm.
you did to go out.
Yeah. I wonder if GTA got a year delay. GTA 6. That's pretty crazy.
Yep.
Now, the answer is probably no to this question. But do you think they delayed it to get past, like, hopefully get past this like tariff nonsense?
Or add comedy about the tariff nonsense into the game.
Well, no, I don't know if they can add anything. I mean, honestly, they probably delayed it because they still have a lot of work to do, right? But I'm just wondering, is it a happy circumstance that it's like they want to get past like the crazy market with the tariffs and stuff and a potential recession coming on, or would they want to launch it earlier to try to beat that? I don't know.
It's a good question. It would be interesting to see if people would just be like, "Well, it's GTA. I'm paying for this," and then just buy it anyway. Like
Yeah.
like, it is a good question.
Like when's a good time to launch a game? In a recession, before the recession, after a recession, you know?
Well, I'm trying to remember. Like, I mean, the one standout title, I guess, to me was Fallout 3, and that's 2008. I don't know. It's a. You know what? I'm gonna do a little bit of research here quickly
Okay.
to see if like any of these like sales went down or anything.
Because like COVID's a weird thing because like video game sales exploded because everyone had so much free time on their hands, right? And they needed to fill it with something. And obviously the recession during that time did hurt people, but I guess like a lot of people still kept their jobs and were able to buy video games. Um, but that was a weird recession. That wasn't like a normal one. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because it was brought on by a you know a lockdown of of the economy. So I don't know if that affects people differently or what.
Well, I did find this about this like little bit of research here. This is the Gemini AI overview. While the 2008 financial crisis did impact various industries, the video game market generally remained resilient. Both the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 continued to see solid sales, and overall, the gaming industry experienced record breaking sales. However, some sources suggest a potential slight downturn toward the end of 2008 and early 2009, attributing it to the recession and possibly less exciting game releases. So I mean, if we just like take out the less exciting game releases thing, maybe it's like again, that's that thing, right? Where people are like, that's it. We're in a recession. I'm not buying anything. I'm not going out. I'm going home. They go home, they're like, I need something to do. And so like a little into 2009, like mid 2009, they're like, I'm going to buy an Xbox because I'm bored at home, saving all this money, you know?
Right. Yeah. Hmm. So I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, there is a price point where things are too high. These consoles are already pretty expensive. PS5 Pro is particularly expensive as well. Um,
I got a
and I
question for
just
you
feel like,
here.
yeah,
I want to know, do you think that this will force PlayStation Plus to be better?
no.
You don't
Do you
think that
mean
they're
like the catalog,
yeah,
the
like
higher tiers?
specifically the I guess it's PlayStation Plus Extra and PlayStation Plus Premium. I mean, it
Yeah.
is I would say generally, if not objectively, worse than Xbox Game Pass because well, the big thing among other things is that it does not allow you to have the Sony first party titles day one.
Yeah.
So, like, do you think that this is going to be like something that they may have to do where they're like, the consoles cost more, so we need to give them some PlayStation Plus Premium
Oh,
or whatever in order for people to be like, come and play, kind of like what the PS3 did with the Instant Game Collection, where it's like, hey, come on over to our thing here and we'll give you a year or give you 6 months of PlayStation Plus Premium. Because a subscription that isn't, ridiculously expensive is something you can estimate for and budget for.
that's interesting because it's like, and not the only reason, but a big reason I think Xbox is moving more towards Game Pass is because they're struggling to sell consoles,
Hmm.
right? So they're offering this service that you can now access kind of anywhere, like that whole everything's an Xbox campaign was really about streaming your games, to non Xbox console devices. They're bringing their games to PlayStation. Their whole mantra is like just play our games. We don't care where you play them, right? But that was brought on by the console going down in sales,
Right, right.
and so they're putting their first party titles in there to try to make you get Game Pass. PlayStation, on the other hand, they didn't have to do that. Their console was selling quite well, and they don't have to put their games in their PlayStation Plus because they don't need to rely on PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium um, for their games. But you're right. If the console stops selling as well, maybe they want to beef up their services. Yeah, I would say yes.
I'll say this though too is they do have a bit of a lull right now in first party title releases.
Yeah, Ghost of Yotei is like supposed to come out, right? And that's their next big first party title.
And yeah, and I guess like I mean not to talk down to Ghost of Yotei, but uh there have been quite a lot of Xbox releases. Some would say too much. I don't know if this like release extravaganza, I'm going to call it, is sustainable to be
No, no,
honest.
it's not. I don't think it
uh
is. This has
I,
been wild.
it's been kind of crazy, but like this gives Sony a weird advantage because even if they say, like you said, beef up the services, they could just leave Ghost of Yotei out there, out of it, and then have all the other first party titles that still haven't made it into the collection be added in there. Because like it's like,
Do,
okay, we already kind of
do
made those money on those games.
how long does it take for them to add a first party title? Obviously, they have some in there, right? Like Uncharted and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, they have Uncharted, I believe. For sure, I know they have God of War Ragnarok, and that was added. I want to say either earlier 2025 or later 2024. That's based off of memory, so I might be incorrect. So it can take a while.
Man, you're right though. I don't know if we'll ever see anything like what Xbox has done over the last few months here. It kind of feels like from uh Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, you had Indiana Jones, you had what's the game you were playing? The
Stalker Two,
Ukrainian game. Stalker
Stalker Two, yeah.
2, And like just from that period onward, there's just been like a crazy amount of good games too, not just schlock they're just thrown at us. Good games coming out, you know. It's been kind of wild.
It's
I don't
honestly
think we'll ever
been
see that
like too
again.
much. It's too much. Like I mean, it's good to have it in the backlog, I guess, right? Like, I'm not going to complain about a game that has come out and it's in my backlog now. But if you're a
Hmm.
person that likes to keep up, like you kind of like to keep up, Brian, to an extent, although I know that's kind of been
Not
challenging the
anymore.
last few years.
Not anymore.
Well, why, or when, I guess, would you say you stopped keeping up? Like, was it because of this crazy like schedule because of Xbox, or is this just in general, like you've been slowing down?
I'd say the last like 4 years, maybe.
Oh, wow. Okay. Jesus. Okay.
And it's one of those things where it's like my attention span, I think, is the issue.
Mm.
My attention span is now what else can I watch on YouTube rather than I want to play this game, and finish it. So that's really affecting me pretty badly. I think Alana Pierce actually just did a video on kind of the state of the video game industry and how, you are now fighting for time from TikTok, from social media, from doom scrolling, from YouTube. It's like video games are fighting for that time, right? And I don't do TikTok or anything, but I do Instagram. But I don't really do the Reels thing where I like you just everyone's like on TikTok. It's like you just keep swiping and you just keep endlessly watching. I don't really do that on Instagram with Reels or anything like that. But I do peruse Reels. And I watch a lot of YouTube, and that's what's kind of eating away at my free time. It's horrible.
Well, I forget who said it, but I don't think it was Lana Pearson in this particular case, but somebody was saying how like firing up a game takes more than firing up something that just plays, like such as like a TikTok or firing up something like a movie or a show, especially a show that you're familiar with, so that you can actually scroll on your phone while the TV plays a show that you're familiar with and you've already seen. Whereas like a game requires you to like, turn on the thing, boot up the game, and then start to play it. You're like making decisions, you're dealing with hardships. Maybe you're doing boring things like managing your inventory. And so it sounds silly to say that it requires more, but if you imagine yourself in a situation in which you're tired, for example, you're tired, but you're not going to bed. And you're like, okay, maybe I'll play a game. It's like, what's gonna win out? You like lounging and having your TV and or phone on, or you like making tactical decisions in a game.
Yeah. Right.
It's weird, but and
Lounging. Yeah.
I will say this is TikTok's friggin' addicting. Like I've absolutely, and this has happened like once or twice to be clear, but like I've absolutely just been using TikTok, check the clock, and it's been 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's not good because that was a
I'm
whole movie.
Yeah, that's right. I'm kind of glad I haven't downloaded TikTok, because yeah, that could be bad if I add that onto the roster of time wasting activities.
Well, Reels the same thing, right? Like I know you said you don't go into that Reels feed, but if you did, it's virtually identical.
I think because like you can actually go to the Reels feed. I never do. So I just see Reels by just scrolling the main feed of my Instagram. And I think if you click into it, you can then scroll through them. But I don't really do that. I just watch the one that's in the feed. And I laugh at it and I move on. So I don't get stuck in the loop,
Right.
right? And maybe I should be conscious of that so I don't get don't get trapped in it. I'll just kind of watch the ones I want to watch and then get out of there.
I will say this though, being sick but not so sick that you're like debilitated and just sitting in bed watching TikTok is pretty nice. Because man, those hours go away and I'm just sitting there
Yeah,
like dying of a cold or something
that's
like
true.
that. And it's
That's
like,
very
man,
true.
that's pretty. It's sometimes it's like, or you just had like a real busy previous day and you're like, I'm vegging out today. It's like
Yeah.
sometimes that's pretty nice.
Well, I mean, it's so ingrained in my head now, which is kind of weird. It's like a not I wouldn't say nostalgic because it was like a bad memory. But when I had that double ear infection,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh
I
my
was
God.
I was I was so sick that I did not want to play video games. I did not have the strength to play video games, and so I just watched YouTube, and that's when I first discovered Vsauce, and I just
Okay.
exhausted his library of videos, and that time period is just like stuck in my head. I remember everything I did during that time with those ear infections. It's very weird.
That was we were still in college, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I have this distinct memory of I think it was like either reading week or something. I didn't have ear infections, but there was something weird going on. We're not doctors, but we assume it's like a virus of some sort or something, because Marty got a serious stomach infection around the same
Mm,
time you got the ear infections, and we had all been around each other, and I had a serious throat infection, and I had the
mm.
same type of thing as you, where I used to wake up because I didn't do anything, including I didn't even touch the TV. I used to go downstairs, and my parents would be watching TV. I used to sit in the lazy boy and just lay there. And I remember at one point somebody was like, I think it was my mom was like, "Yo, do you want something to eat?" I was like, "Just let me die. Just let
Mhm.
me just let me go. I don't want to touch anything. I don't care what we're watching. Just leave me here."
It's weird that you can like lose the desire for things because it's like mentally my brain is fine. You know, obviously your body is suffering and you don't like it, but it's like it changes what you actually desire. It's like I had no interest in playing video games, even though that's like a lazy thing you can do when you're sick. You know, just sit
Was
there and
it
play video games.
an immune system thing?
I
I'm
don't
trying to
know.
conserve all possible power because this is one heck of an infection, ear infection, or in your case, too. So
Yeah,
I need all power, all things on deck. Turn off the desire center of the brain.
maybe that's very weird. Very weird.
It's weird. Yeah.
Because
Sucks.
in a sense, that's changing like your personality in a way, you
Yeah.
know. But like the things you want to do is kind of part of you, and so that's just it's weird that just a virus can come in and just kick your ass and just be like, no, you know. But it was only for those infections. Like with normal colds, I'm fine. I can play video games and whatever. But just these really weird ones, even having a um food poisoning and stuff, I can play video games just fine. You know, strange.
None of it's salmonella though. Let's just say that.
Oh.
I've had that, and that was not in good shape.
Jeez. All right. All right. Final story for the week. This one's a weird one. Not weird that it's happening, but just like Jade Raymond. You remember Jade Raymond?
Yeah.
She is leaving PlayStation's Haven Studios. I feel like we only report on her when she's leaving a studio.
Yeah, a couple times.
She founded the studio, and this is from Game Informer. Remember Game Informer? They're back.
Back in a big way.
They somehow revived. But anyway, industry veteran Jade Raymond founded Haven Studios in 2021, and it was acquired by PlayStation in 2022. Now, just a few years later, and before the team has released its first game, an online heist shooter named Fair Games, Raymond has exited the company. Bloomberg broke the news, revealing PlayStation leadership didn't give Haven staff a reason for her departure, but notes that it occurred several weeks after an external test of Fair Games. The publication's source say some developers at Haven, quote, were concerned about how the game was received and its progress, end quote. A lot is riding on Fair Games as part of PlayStation's push for live service games, though many have since been delayed or canceled in development. PlayStation is looking for another hit like Helldivers 2, but has stumbled with recent releases like Concord, which shut down less than 2 weeks after its launch,
That's more than
and
a
a
damn
lukewarm,
stumble.
yeah, and a lukewarm reception to Bungie's upcoming marathon, which is now in hot water as a result of plagiarized art. Quote, Jade Raymond has been an incredible partner and visionary force in founding Haven Studios. We are deeply grateful for her leadership and the contributions, and we wish her well. We wish her all the best in her next chapter. PlayStation is committed to supporting Haven Studios and excited to continue the journey with new studio co-heads. Marie Eve Denis, I guess, and Pierre Francois Sapinski.
A little bit of a weird bit of Jade Raymond lore, but she was on Electric Playground, and I saw her
as like
leave there
a
too.
as like a like a host or like a
Yeah, like she worked on the show in whatever
oh wow,
capacity,
okay.
like I don't know, producer or something, but she was on camera sometimes. And like I saw her leave that too. And then I saw Electric Playground interview her because she was working at a game company.
It's just every time we report on her, it's like, yeah, she's leaving somewhere, and I'm just like, when's the last time she actually saw a game to release?
That's a good question.
And is she just good at getting studios off the ground, or what the heck's going on here? You know?
I mean, yeah, like if she's, acting as an, because there's some executives, right, that are brought into like rescue companies or start companies or whatever. They have a specific
Hmm.
skill set or specific history. Like it's possible that that's what's going on here. I will say this is like this whole Sony um, live game service push, I guess I'll call it, is not going too good.
No,
I honestly feel
not at
like they
all.
have to make a game, and if they can let live service it, then live service it. I think forcing it is not working in their favor, because like something like Call of Duty, for example, Call of Duty is a live service game, but it was not a live service game several years ago, and it had several sequels by the time it became a live service game.
That's interesting. But that's also what people don't want, though. There seems to be a lot of pushback from fans. And even The Last of Us was one of those cases where they were going to make a live service game, but then decided against it.
Well, that was that multiplayer spinoff, though, right? It wasn't The Last of Us proper.
No. And all the Uncharted games, well, maybe not the first, but the other ones had multiplayer aspects to them that apparently a lot of people enjoyed, actually. So like that, they could have spun off that and stuff. But that's not really, I don't know. It feels different. It doesn't feel like Call of Duty. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think this is maybe where you have to choose, like The Last of Us, for example. The Last of Us, meaning the mainline titles, are not really games as a service possible. So the closest thing you could do is you could take a look at The Last of Us original, look at the online multiplayer, and say, okay, online multiplayer, blah blah. It was kind of like pretty popular, blah blah blah,
It was
whatever.
fun.
Pretty fun, and I played it too. You played it, and it's like Marty kept dying of dysentery. Like, fuck, you're ridiculous. That game was ridiculous because you connected it to Facebook. It was kind of a little social experiment at
Yeah.
the time. Pretty funny, pretty stupid. But I think my issue with this is like they're looking they're looking for games as a service, and they're kind of like forcing it. Like it's kind of a stretch, right? To say The Last of Us is this amazing single player, experience and all this and blah blah blah. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I get that people, that's their jam. Fantastic. Do those same people want to have a live service game? Call of
Right.
Duty, however, is like a shooter where people used to buy maps sometimes, and they can just as quickly go, well, I could sell skins. And if you went to play like a Call of Duty 4 versus like a Call of Duty Black Ops 6, do they look a lot different? Yes. But like if somebody was never exposed to Call of Duty and went to they played 4 and then they played 6 or Black Ops 6, I kind of feel like they'd say, are these Call of Duties?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's like Call of Duty fit into the service game thing without somebody like seeking it out all that hard.
Mhm.
So like I think Sony like Helldivers 2 is a prime example of that, where it's like co-op online shooter. People are trying to play all the time. There's an online constant war. You can level up. It's like, yeah, we'll sell skins, have battle passes and all that. That makes sense. So I mean, we don't know if, because at least not in this particular bit of the article, but we don't know if Jade Raymond is leaving because of the games as a service stuff. But I wouldn't be surprised due to all the issues that they've been having.
I kind of hate that we'll never really know
Well,
unless
like
people
why
at
she
the
left?
studio start. Yeah, unless people at the studio start talking to the press or something like that. But we'll kind of never really know what's going on in all these studios. But there are. I don't know what it is. It's just kind of an intuition thing, maybe. But there are certain games that you can just look at and know they ain't going anywhere. And Concord was one of them, and Fair Games is one of them. And what's it called? What was that other game? Marathon
Mhm.
is another game that's questionable, you know. And I guess there's no real formula to kind of this stuff, and a lot of it must just be getting the right people together at the right time and making the right decisions, right? It's kind of just up to fate at that point. So I don't, even if Fair Games comes out, I don't know if you remember seeing the trailer for it, but it just looked like a game you're not going to play. You know what I mean?
No, I remember it. I do remember it for sure.
It was like that Ubisoft shooter, not X Defiant, whatever the one they had. They had some other uh battle royale or whatever game before that.
Oh my god. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I can't remember the name.
But you play it for 2 seconds, and you're like, this ain't it, you know?
You know what? You know what hurts a lot of these games too is, okay, if we take a look, I mean, we have old hat games as a service games. You could kind of loop Call of Duty into that, just because even though it releases yearly and stuff, maybe that's a bit of an asterisk. But like Fortnite is an old hat games as a service game. Overwatch is an old hat games as a service game. And like they have their own struggle. Like maybe Fortnite's been pretty solid. I don't really know if the numbers are way up, way down. I've never really heard of Fortnite, kind of collapsing to its knees. We have heard issues with something like Overwatch 2 and stuff, but there's people that still play games like Apex Legends and stuff. That's the games
Yeah.
as a service games. There's battle passes and stuff. And the reason why I bring these old hat games up is because these games take a while to get good at. these games are also free, the ones I just mentioned. And
Hmm.
so specifically with Overwatch 2. And so the thing here is that it's a lower barrier to entry to have your friends join. There's a skill like gap or a skill cap, I guess, that's really hard to reach or and is arguably like indefinite. And so you can keep getting better and better and better at these games. And are you really going to convince somebody that has 1,000 hours in Apex Legends to leave?
Hmm.
Are you going to convince somebody that has 1,000 hours in Overwatch 2 to leave? Even if they
Yeah.
make like a game like Fair Games, even if they make it free, even if they decide, all right, we're going to make this game free for lower barrier to entry, great first start, like a great first step, excuse me. But again, we're competing for time now. And I argue that we're kind of competing for skill. If I'm
Yeah.
amazing at Call of Duty, I would be enticed to stay with Call of Duty.
Right.
Be like, I'll just buy each iteration each year. The heck with it. There's a reason why
It's
sports games sell every year.
it's hard to get people, yeah, out of the thing that they've invested more and more time into.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's kind of weird about them. Like everyone's chasing that dragon of a successful games as a service game, but it's almost like it's very hard to get people out of that because there's already so many popular ones that everyone's in their own little groups. It's like I don't play Marvel Rivals anymore because my game's Overwatch. I've put hundreds of dollars into that game. I've put 1,000 hours into that game. Why would I abandon it? Just for Marvel Rivals or something like that. It's very hard to convince me to play that only instead of Overwatch. But I'll play a bunch of single player games. Because that's one and done, and then I'll try your new game. So it's weird that they're all chasing that success when it's so hard to get.
It's like that thing where it's like the amount of money that you get when you're successful is so high that, I mean, businesses always
It's
want to
worth
make
the
more
risk.
money. It's worth the risk. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's actually arguably more risky to not take the chances.
Right.
But like you and I were talking about this, Ryan, where it's like there comes a point where you have to say, hey, you've had, 10, 15, 20 failures, whatever it is. I don't know, just making up numbers at this point. But you've had all these failures and you've had to lay all these people off and you've had to hire new people and it's been like a mess business wise and companies have closed and servers have gone up and then shut down and it's been a big mess. And it's like there comes a point when it goes, hey man, like what about trying to build like a sustainable business where we have one team that tries to make a games as a service game and another game another team is making a single player game. Why don't
Yeah.
we do that? Right. And I know that like the business guys will say, well, that's stupid because the people that are working on the single player game are working for a potential less outcome.
Right.
But it's like, yes, but this is causing like en masse chaos. Like, wouldn't you want to have like a sustainable and also I'd like to say a very profitable or like a very profitable potential future as well. You make a good
Hmm.
single player game, there's going to be some friggin' profit. Like, let's be serious. Like, Oblivion Remastered is not exactly doing poorly here.
Right.
Watch she like comes out that she just wants to retire and like this
Yeah,
was
maybe. Yeah,
nothing to
maybe.
do with.
She is only 49 though. But I mean, you can retire whenever you want, I guess.
Well, if you make a bunch of money, it's sometimes it's just like, you know what, I'm out of here.
Here's a theory, okay? So she helped form Haven Studios in 2021.
Mhm.
It was acquired next year in 2022, right? I don't know if we know what they were working on at that time, but what if it wasn't a games as a service game?
Mhm.
Looking at the other games that she's worked on, it's like Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Bloodlines, Splinter Cell Blacklist, Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed Unity, Far Cry 4, and I believe the campaign of Battlefront 2, right?
Mhm.
Those are all single player things.
Right.
What if Sony bought them and is like, you're making us a games as a service multiplayer online game?
Right.
And she's like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, so she leaves before the game comes out because the game might suck and she's already play tested it and the game might suck.
Yeah. That'd be funny.
Or like
Yeah.
I mean it could just be something as simple as she disagrees with it. She could just be like, I
Yeah.
disagree with it. Like I don't think we should be releasing games as a service. Sony's hell bent on it. I'm out of here.
I'm amazed at how fast they update the freaking Wikipedia page, though. God damn. People are on it, eh?
There's definitely like people that like they probably read news nonstop and then they constantly update Wikipedia. I wouldn't be surprised.
But it's weird that they have that desire to do that because, like, what's Wikipedia to them? Like, you know what I mean? They're not getting paid, right? They're just doing it.
You want that human archive of all human knowledge. It might be a little bit of that.
Yeah, but I don't want to be entering it. I want to hire people to enter enter the data. Yeah, yeah.
And you don't want to be
All right.
typing.
Yeah. That's it for this the news this week. Moving on to what we're playing. Matt, you're the only one here.
I'm the only one here. Well, you're here
What
too.
what are you playing? Well, my list is always pretty short nowadays.
My list isn't too long. I did a little bit of um Oblivion Remastered. Played a little bit of that.
You falling off? Or you were busy though?
Well, not necessarily even falling off. Like I'm treating it very generically. Like I'm riding my horse to places which I never done before. I used to just fast travel everywhere and things like that. I'm exploring caves, so it's like my progress is slow, but like I'm literally just having a blast doing that. So I'm gonna continue doing that.
Yeah.
So that's been fun. And then I've actually weirdly been playing like a lot of my PSP. I've almost completed as
Well,
far as
you have
like
that project though.
yeah, that's true. But I usually just treat it like a mobile console, and I've actually like put in some serious hours into the PSP. So I've been playing Gangs of London on here, and I believe I'm on like the last quote unquote chapter. The game's kind of interesting. You like choose a gang, and they're all different, and they're in London, of course, and they all have like different cars and different weapons and things like that. And then you go into like a map kind of strategy view, and you try to like you do missions to like take out the other gang's territory slowly, and you eventually eliminate them. So I'm on the last one, so I assume it's the last, last chapter, if you will. And I believe what
Yeah.
you do is you can like, start again as a different gang and like try to, make that one the dominant gang in the future. There's also a free roaming mode, which is interesting. I've never tried it. But there's also like a, like a wander the city mode because you can drive in this game. And one little small tidbit which I kind of find interesting is, have you ever played The Getaway, Ryan? PS2.
I don't think so, no.
So that game was trying to be like super cinematic, things like that. I don't think there's any HUD or limited HUD, something like that. And one of the ways they get you around is you're in, I want to say London or Paris. It's been a long time since I've played it. But when you're driving, your guy will put on their indicator or their directional signal.
Oh yeah.
And then you like turn. And that's also what this game does, which I kind of find interesting since it's in London. And it works pretty good. I don't mind it. The game's pretty silly. Like it's definitely designed. It's an early PSP title, and it's definitely designed to be a mobile game. It's definitely designed to like pick up, do a mission. Sometimes the mission's 5 minutes. Sometimes the mission is like 35 seconds.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like, it's not that crazy. But it's pretty fun. Like I was just always kind of intrigued by it because I like the Mafia games and things like that, and the Godfather games and things. And obviously I've already, I've said a few weeks ago that I beat the Godfather game on PSP. But
Hmm.
I've been playing Gangs of London, and I've also been slowly chipping away at that Need for Speed game. That Need for Speed game is too freaking long. I think it was also quote unquote designed to be like a mobile game, which I mean is not crazy because it
Yeah.
is a mobile game. But you're going just through a list of 15 people. So like Need for Speed Most Wanted is like there's like a whole, there's a bunch of cinematics, things like that, and you're trying to like work your way up this list of like these criminals that like, they're the top racers, the top 15 racers, whatever. And you are doing that in the PSP version, but it doesn't explain that. The only reason why I know what the list of 15 is because I've played the console version on the 360. So I'm just going through and I'm just doing races. And all I do is like
Mhm.
race again, do a tournament now, do a race, do a race. It's like, holy crap. So I'm at like, I think I'm at the 13th or 14th position out of 15. And you start at 15. So I'm like early game. And I've been playing it for quite a while. And the maps are starting to get really boring. So whenever I go to
Hmm.
play Gangs of London, I try to like quickly do one race. I just want to like quickly chip away at that Need for Speed game. But man, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. It's
Do
pretty
you
rugged.
like racing games?
Need for Speed games I used to. I love Need for Speed Most Wanted. Like if they remastered that, I'd buy that.
Okay.
Um yeah, I don't know. That was just like of that era. Also, like it was of the era, but it was also like I had a 360 and it looked freaking amazing for the time. And so I was like playing Need for Speed, which I used to play as a kid a fair bit. And then now like at that point I was an older kid and I was like, playing like a high fidelity Need for Speed game, which was pretty cool. I also played Carbon a lot because you kind of go down like the Tokyo Drift Mountain, which is kind of cool. It's like one of the boss stages or something. But other than that, or I guess after that, I should say briefly, I'm gonna go into the GTA's. I have GTA Liberty City Stories and GTA Vice City Stories. I'm probably gonna go into Liberty City Stories first, because Gangs of London's like, an earlier PSP title, like I said, so it's going to be clunkier than a GTA. And I just kind of want to play these things a little bit in order so that I don't play something that has terrible mechanics after I play something that has good mechanics kind of thing. So, but yeah, no, that's kind of been it. I had, I played like for like an hour. I played Neverwinter Nights. I don't know if you ever played that,
Oh
Ryan.
wow.
Yeah,
No, I haven't played it, but it's on my wish list for some reason because it's like a D&D thing, right?
it's D&D. Let me tell you, Ryan,
Yeah.
it's freaking old. Like it's
Okay.
very old. I used to play it as a kid, and I had a buddy that was just interested in it. We only kind of like got a little bit past the training, and then it was kind of like, let's not continue. But I just wanted to try it out, or we did, and that was it. But other than that, I think that's been it. That's been my week. What about you, Ryan?
I mean, my aspirations are separate from my ability to actually do something. So if I had Neverwinter Nights to my wish list, it's an aspirational thing rather than whether I'll actually buy it or play it. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like I'll give you an example, Ryan, because like I don't think you would like this. When you go into multiplayer, and I mean maybe there's a more efficient way to do this, but when you go into multiplayer, you have to kind of like set up your server. And when you set up your server, you kind of like get the server running, and the game, for whatever reason, in my case, kept restarting. Like it just restarts the campaign. And then
Yeah.
once you're in the server, you hit escape and you load the game that you want to play.
Oh boy.
And you can like choose pre-made D&D slash Neverwinter Night characters. You can choose ones that are pre-leveled or early level ones. You can make your own. And then you can, as far as I understand it, and this might be wrong, you can bring those characters to other games. You could like level them up in one campaign and go to another. Playing it was okay. It's not the most intuitive, but it's okay.
Hmm.
But I mean, it helps that it's not as actiony as like a shooter. So
Right. Yeah.
you should try it. You'll hate it, but you should try it.
It's always going on sale, but I think it never goes on sale at a price I'm comfortable paying for a game I probably won't play to completion. You know what I mean?
It's not that I want to say it's not that long. There's like 4 campaigns. It's kind of the D&D like that where you kind of just like do a campaign and then it's over. Like and there's like 4 campaigns in there, and I want to say people can make custom ones
Oh, I own it.
on GOG.
Steam.
Oh, because wait.
Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition.
Oh, okay. I want to say I also have the enhanced, and that game's still old. But I mean, if you ever want
Yeah,
to
it
try
looks
it,
old.
Ryan, I could try it. I used to play it, like I said, I used to play it when I was a kid. I remember a little bit of it.
Jesus.
I'm always an Unga Bunga guy though. Like I just don't have the patience to like get into all the
I mean, that's where I am
nitty-gritty.
too. That's how I've played pretty much every RPG I've ever played has been an Unga Bunga character.
So we could Unga Bunga it up together.
It's like Elden Ring. I tried doing a wizard, and that was pretty out there for me, and it kind of bit me in the ass because like
That game's
everyone
hard.
everyone everyone like talked down to wizards because like they thought it was easy because you have all these ranged attacks, and so you just kind of stand at the back of the map throwing spells. But you're so soft in that game. You don't have good armor on that you just get wiped out as soon as they get a good hit on you, right? So it's very difficult being. I think it's very difficult being a wizard in Elden Ring, but.
I tried it briefly. I think I tried someone else's character actually, and I had trouble because I had trouble like positioning is really critical and knowing what the enemies do. Is essentially gonna
Yeah.
enemy gonna run right at me? Are they gonna lunge? Are they gonna back off? Are they gonna like come at me and then back off? What are they gonna do?
And the time to cast certain spells, some of them just take too long. Like they're super powerful, but you can never get them off in time. Some of the bosses are so fast that you're just dead. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I never completed the final boss of the DLC because he's just too quick and does too much damage, and my wizard character just sucks, and so I
Oh,
suck.
man. Oh, that would drive me nuts if I got to the last boss and couldn't do it. That
Yep.
would drive
Yep.
me nuts.
I think Marty finally did it after a while. Just got in there and just one day just freaking did it.
Yeah, man. Maybe that's the
Yeah.
thing. You just every time you boot up your PlayStation, you do one attempt.
Yeah. But yeah, for me, did some Overwatch. We did we even play Fortnite this week? Maybe at the start, right?
It was either this week or next. This week's been a bit of a blur.
Yeah, I don't think we actually played it this week. But I'd like to get back into that because I bought the Battle Pass and it's all Star Wars stuff. I did play some Oblivion, making my way through it. I fought in the arena, Matt.
Yeah.
Did that last night. I was doing some arena fighting.
How far did you get?
I got my first promotion, so I
Okay.
fought like three people, and then I don't. I'm a little scared to go because I don't know if I was. I don't know. I did all right. The freaking armor you have to wear for the arena is like 70 pounds or something like that. Like it's something ridiculous.
Oh, the Raymonds.
Yeah, and so a guy hit me with an arrow, and I guess it went into my inventory, and I got over encumbered, and I just couldn't move. You know, it was like ridiculous. I thought it was one of those spells where you can like, or even I think some arrows do it too, or maybe some bows that'll over encumber you for a bit. But I didn't have a timer thing. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? My character's not moving, and it's because the armor was so damn heavy. And then I think his arrow getting shot into me over encumbered me. It was weird. I don't know if that's possible, but that's what happened to me.
I was gonna say I don't recall that being possible, especially
So
in the
I
arena.
was running around. Yeah, you can't take weapons. You can't pick up weapons in there.
Correct.
But I was running around normally, and then all of a sudden, over encumbered.
Did they drain you, like drain your strength, which then lowered your carry weight capacity, which then made you encumbered, over encumbered?
I just saw no status effects on me because they wear off, right? They're not permanent things, right?
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, I saw no status effects on me. I think the arrow pushed me over the edge.
You know what? I will say this: like Oblivion's got some bugs, so like maybe that happened.
Yeah.
You know, it's totally possible. Like
I'm kind of okay taking it slow with this game because I've heard the further you get into it, the more game-breaking bugs appear, and people are waiting for a patch to kind of fix some stuff, which I'm hoping they're working on. So we'll see.
Man, holy crap! I don't know if it's just the remastered, but I don't remember too many game-breaking things that happened to me when I played Oblivion as a kid. However, like not that I paid attention to like every little thing and things like that.
There was a certain age where I didn't even know bugs existed in games. You know what I mean? So there was one that was I thought this was interesting that they didn't patch this one. And I don't know if their goal was just to remake the game or remaster the game and not actually fix a lot of things. Because there was one in when you're taking back Kvatch and the guy like just stands outside in the courtyard and doesn't go in. And like the marker is like on him.
I had that too.
And I had to look up what to do because I never played the game, like, or at least I haven't played it in years. And I just so that bug, and it's on a main story quest, and they never fixed it.
One of the first main story quests, so you might be really confused as to what the heck you're supposed to do.
Right. So I just thought it was interesting that like they must have not have fixed anything then. Really, it must have just been a complete overhaul of the looks, and that was it.
What was really bad was I got stuck on that on one of my characters as a kid, I remember, and he would not go in, like you said. He was in the courtyard, and I left and played the whole game, basically, like not the story, a bunch of the side quests, and God knows what else. I came back at like level 50 or something like that, and I showed back up, and that guy was naked because all his stuff was broken, and he was like still fighting people. He's like, "Damn you!" And he's like fighting all these Daedra that keep spawning on him, and he kept like he was just punching a Daedroth, and the Daedroth would like absolutely kick his ass, like just like launch him, and he would just like be on the ground. And then he'd get up because he's a critical character, right? You can only go unconscious and just like, die! Why won't you die? And he's like punching the fuck out of this Daedroth, but he's just failing horribly. It was a little unfortunate.
That's kind of all I played, I think.
Just Oblivion.
Still plucking away at Assassin's Creed Shadows. I beat the game, but I'm just kind of just slowly picking away at the trophies. Farmer's Valley.
Damn it. Oh my God.
Still going strong on that one for some reason. That's it. That's everything.
I mean, Oblivion's a good one. That's a good one to sink your teeth into.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. We stream on twitch.tv/day1patchmedia, Wednesdays 9 p.m. Eastern. I don't know what we'll be doing. More Rocket. Did we beat all the DLC in Rocket?
No. Off the top of my head, we beat the first of 2 dragon ones. The dragon is Danny Trejo. And if we've completed the dragon ones, which I don't think we've completed both, there is a Terminator one.
Oh.
Like a robot one. But it's not literally Terminator, but I'm calling it that.
Yeah, okay. So we'll probably be doing that, I guess. That's everything. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Hey, yo, peace.